What's up, BC? Good afternoon from my desk here. I'm going to bring you a new installment of the New Vinyl in My Life series here. New records from 2023 and 2022 that I've been playing for, this is like about a month and a half's worth, and with more to come, of course. I had like 60 records that I was planning to show, and I'm like, this is ridiculous. And I'm not showing all those. About a third of that, about 20, which is still a lot. And it's the ones I'm sort of like most focused in on and most excited about over like July and June. I've been doing a lot of listening as my work schedule has been working at home for a lot more of the week. Although that's about to change, so I'll be back to my normal schedule. But my family and I are going to Maine actually tomorrow, Tuesday, for a wedding and some hang time a little bit in Portland and sort of some of the rural areas. So I don't know, I may try to reach out to some Maine folks that are in the VC. If not, I'll definitely be hitting a couple of record stores, but it won't be a big digging trip or anything. Saving that for October in New York. So I'm gonna get hop right to it, so this video doesn't get too lengthy. I'll tell you what we're playing when I get to it. I'm going to start with two different records. These are both reissues. This one's technically a comp. This one is a reissue. Scream and Dance and Animal Magic. This is UK post-punk, though mostly sort of on the dance side of things, a little more post-disco. I'm just seeing that there's a nice crease on the side of this one. These are reissued by the Lantern label, originally on the Recreational label. Scream and Dance from '82. And Animal Magic from '82. One is a compilation of a 12-inch and a 7-inch, as you can see here, and these are both great. I've been on the hunt for these originals, the 12-inch and the 7-inch, and this 12-inch for a long, well, not that long, but what feels like a long time sometimes. These are both taken, or both compiled on the Get It Right compilation on Emotional Rescue, which I had previously shown, so I really wanted to get all the tracks. It's just really great. Very much dub-centric too. Giacometti on this side and the remix are super good. And all 6 tracks on this Animal Magic are great. I highly recommend these. These are UK pressings, but you should be able to find these at some of your more exotic indie shops who carry a lot of, you know, sort of deep reissues. You should be able to find these, or hopefully there's a few US sellers that are stocking them. I'll put in some clips of each of these. It's spectacular. The next one is another dub release, but it comes from one of my all-time favorite artists, Brenda Ray. My #1 grail, my #1 mega want. It is becoming a grail at this point. It's a mega want, but it's becoming a grail because I've never seen it for sale since 2012 when it came out. Brenda Ray, Walata. I've said it before, I say it again. Well, I almost got it. I bought a 4-track 12-inch EP that takes 4 songs from that release. I have the actual album on CD. I've talked about this before, but I figured I would take the 12-inch with the 4 tracks just because I wanted to at least get the vibe and see how it feels. These sound better than ever, so I'm even more excited to find the record. There she is playing melodica. Walata, and it comes in like a disco sleeve. Walata is Brenda Ray recontextualizing rhythms from the late 70s, produced by Prince Tubby, Bunny Striker Lee. There's Prince Far Eyes, his vocals on there on one of the tracks, and she's doing her vocals and adding in melodica, lots of percussion, toy instruments. It's just a spectacular record, and I've never seen it for sale since. I mistakenly did not buy the CD. It's on the, or bought the CD. It's on the M label, Japanese label. They probably only made 500, but again, I missed it when it came up in February. The only time I've seen it recently, other than 2020. It popped up for a second on Discogs February of 2023, and someone grabbed it. Anyway, this was there were 2 copies of this sitting for a while that no one was budging on. One was too expensive and not great, well graded, and then another one popped up near mint for much cheaper. I had to get it from the UK, but I'm like, you know what? I'll take that as a appetizer. Brenda Ray, 4 tracks from Walata. Starlight, I won't tell you. It's amazing. I'll link to my Brenda Ray video.
Oh, come on now and get unhinged, 'cause I am gonna make you swing. Here we go, the rhythm's right. We're stopping now, we'll dance all night.
This is a Psych record, a bootleg of a very rare Italian group, sort of one-off group, called Stelle di Mario Schifano. And this is on the Audio Clarity label, certainly booty. But this was a group that the sculptor and visual artist Mario Schifano, I don't think he was Italian, maybe Belgian. But he, sort of like Andy Warhol with the Velvet Underground, he wanted to sort of get into the sort of pop mold of the time where psychedelia was sort of coming, and constructed this group for this record. And it's a very experimental, damaged, pretty freaky Psych record. I mean, you're talking a mega rare record. This is, the few times it comes up, it's $2 or $3 grand, one of those. But it is an Italian release originally. It's sort of a small press originally. I can't recommend this enough. This one really wet, like, this looks like the UFO Club here. I mean, look at that. But this is definitely for more, you know, outside listeners. Like, this is not straightforward psych pop. This is definitely a little unhinged and freaky. It's a 45 RPM, but it does sound good. I highly recommend this. See if you can find this one. La Stelle di Mario Schifano. I believe it's just basically the style. I think it's the style of Mario Schifano. This is a 2020 release. Another Psych record. I talked about this briefly on the Michael 45 stream that I jumped on. Another rare Psych record. This one a German krautrock. Walter Wegmüller, another artist, a visual artist similar to the Schifano, a visual artist and sculptor as well. However, not a musician, but he constructed a supergroup. This record from 1973. You can see Jürgen. Well, the big names: Hartmut Anke, Manuel Gasching from Ashra Temple, as well as Howell Grosskopf, Klaus Schulze, and Walter Restrup. All on this. This is the reissue on. It's an official reissue. I guess it's Breeze Music, but it's originally on the Cosmic Music, Kosmischen. And it came in a box set originally, so they actually did recreate the box set with all the ephemera and tarot cards, but that was an expensive reissue. I mean, it's a very expensive original, but this is excellent, super excellent. What he's doing is sort of like similar to the Sergius Golowin release, where he's sort of like the voice in the sky, like he's sort of like coming, you know, throwing his diatribes over all of the proceedings. Cosmic Couriers or Music release. Great official reissue. This is out there. You can find it. Highly recommend it. It definitely goes into prog, a little bit of proggy territories. It's 73, but it's that German prog that is really more like space rock to me. So Bill at the Vinylverse, you'll dig this one if you haven't checked it out already. I don't anticipate finding an original, but you never know. We'll see. Next few are kind of guitar ambient releases, with one of them being what we're hearing, and I'd like to do a little video on that, like ambient music sort of done from solo guitarists. This is actually a duo, and this is one of the bands I've been most obsessed with of 2023. I've talked a little bit about them. I've been buying all their records, and I've had some. I've had only had a couple over the last 15 years, but I've been filling in all the holes. And I got this recently, and it's just one of the most beautiful sleeves. Wendy and Carl's The Drawing of Sound. This artist I really want to get in touch with, by the way. Matt Gasper. I have not been able to find his information, but this is originally on the Blue Flea label. Original pressing on this is from 96. Or is it 90? Yeah, 96. And it's actually their second album. The first one was still only cassette or CD, but the second album is the first one they did in vinyl, and it's on their label, Blue Flea. Just incredible sleeve art. And it's got this insert. Beautiful. Wendy and Carl. Wendy Weaver and Carl Holtgren, a couple. Been married for many years, been playing music for many years, doing drone and ambient drone, all with guitar and bass primarily, a little bit of synths now and then, but it's primarily guitar and bass. And they opened up a record shop called Stormy Records, which closed in 2020, but it was open for many years. And they've been around. They're on Cranky mostly, but they do have their own label, Blue Flea, out of Royal Oak, Michigan. Or it's actually like Dearborn Heights, I think, technically. But this is just absolutely stunning, meditative, beautiful, languid guitar drones. I mean, with texture, they're such masters of texture and sound and sonic sort of exploration. And so it has caused me to sort of go down the wormhole and fill in all the holes of records I don't have. And I've cornered a bunch, including I finally bought and bit the bullet on one I didn't want to pay up for, but it's the one I wanted the most, which I'll hopefully be able to show you another time. But in the meantime, I'm going to be spinning this plenty more. Wendy and Carl's The Drawing of Sound on the Blue Flea label from 1996. And these next two, I'll show them together. We're playing and listening to Rafael Toral Sound Mind Sound Body. I also have Wavefield from 95. I think this one's from 92. These are both first time on vinyl from Drag City. These are old though. These are from 2018. Both from 2018. I don't know, maybe they repressed it. I just finally picked up on it. But I think it's funny, you know, this is originally from, what is it, 95. He really feels like he took Loveless a bit here, especially on the back cover. But we're listening to this one now. Toral is a Portuguese composer, guitarist, sound explorer who he's actually released quite a bit of records since. But in the early 2000s, he moved to like the mountains of Portugal and started really going to these deep space sort of experiments. It's even hard to explain. I've read what he was attempting, and maybe it was a lost in translation thing, but it was kind of unclear. He was trying to explore melodies that are not melodies, and sort of tonal structures that are not tonal. It was very hard. He was all based on sort of space experiments, essentially, and it sounded more like he was working on field recordings in space or something. I don't know. Look him up. A real sort of genius, clearly, and just absolutely spellbinding ambient music. This one, you know, originally CD. This talks about rebooted the ambient music paradigm, which had started with Inom, but had been diluted by the new age upsurge. An expanded version of the album, including new recordings, sound mind, sound body. And this one, they call the ambient guitar masterwork, Wavefield. It's hard to name another record made by anyone else in any decade since the advent of the electric guitar that has so successfully transmuted the rough energy and texture of rock with the immersive embrace of ceaselessly flowing sound, Bill Meyer says. First time on vinyl. You can get these from Drag City, the greatest. Drag City keeps the records in print. Like Cranky. So I highly recommend you finding these ones. Rafael Toral. Either one, they're both really good, but we're listening to Sound Mind, Sound Body, the blue one. Alright, two sort of fringe, experimental, folk, field... Yeah, anyway, coming up. But these are kind of related in a way. There's two here. This is, how do you say the band? Enhet Musik. And this is the Swedish group. Experimental folk. It's sort of like the Jackie O motherfucker, we're going to show in a second. Or Tower Recordings of Sweden. Very much improvised music. These records, this is their first album. They have a few, and they've all gone up in value. There's definitely a little cult following for this group. It's originally on... Forever United, and this is from 2015. It's a repress, straight black labels, very mysterious, almost like a Jandek. I talked about Jandek, almost like a Jandek quality to this. It's like very abstract and kind of not tied to anything. I kind of need some more time with this to sort of corner it, but it definitely put me in a sort of strange spirit. This one, the title is Inom Dig, I guess it is. Like I said, they have 3 or 4 records. Check this band out. Enhet Musik for free. I don't know if that's the whole term, but years ago I checked out the other one that they have, like a bluish cover, and I liked it, but I ultimately didn't buy it. And then this popped around my way, and I decided to take the plunge on this one. Cool one. I'll put a sample in, and it's not really related, but it's a similar sound to Jackie O Motherfucker, and this is an archival live release, which I was skeptical about, on the Feeding Tube label, Northampton, which I will actually also be going by. But Manual of the Bayonet. So these sides were recorded live 1999 to 2001 on the west coast of America. Jackie O Motherfucker is a collective of musicians that, there's a label, that sort of evolves, and it always seems like there's different people in the band, but it's also that sort of improvised experimental rock kind of thing, a little similar to Parsons sound, which I would also equate to the Enhet Musik. The main collaborators are Tom Greenwood and I believe Brooke Krauser, but you've had all kinds of people turn up in this band. But the quality of this was very good. I was actually not ready to keep it, but I got convinced. Good live album. Manual of the Bayonet by Jackie O Motherfucker. Does it even say? Yeah, it says on the spine the name of the group, but good stuff. Alright, moving into some more experimental music. They repressed Volume 1 and Volume 2 of Valentina Goncharova's archival recordings. I absolutely love the Ocean release and Shukai. This is a cool label coming up with some cool stuff. I think it's a Ukrainian label or Russian. Anyway, they just repressed Volume 1 and Volume 2, which are both just great. I mean, this one... So Goncharova is an Estonian cellist who was working with sort of a Frippertronics model and working with tape experiments. And she was doing all these experiments at home, 87 to 91. The description's on the back here. She had a collaborator Igor Zubkov, but she talks about her infatuation with the music of Stockhausen, Xenakis, the Gamelin Trio, Pierre Boulez. That was really influencing her what she was doing with cello and tape manipulation. So this is a double. Volume 2 I have 2. I haven't shown it yet, but I have it somewhere else. This gets into some of that droning ohms that I like so much that she does, and some just otherworldly weirdness that I find beautiful. Good good description on here. It's mainly, like I said, 80s, late 80s recordings by Valentina Goncharova. Yeah, I think they just repressed Volume 1 and Volume 2, so hopefully you can find this. Another modal jazz entry here, and the third record that I've gotten by, I don't think I've shown this yet, John Carter and Bobby Bradford, their third album together, Secrets. Not credited to the quartet, but it's mainly the same musicians. Bill Henderson, Louis Spears, Nate Morgan. I think Henry Franklin is on this. It says Louis Spears or Henry Franklin. But this is from '73. It's released on the Revelation label. I will say, I'm curious to know if anyone else has this. I know Sherb got this when he was in London, I'm pretty sure. I know I played it once and I was wondering about the quality of this pressing, but I probably got to look at it again. It definitely stood out to me as a way. It's like, eh. But it's never been reissued. No other pressing, no CD, nothing. So this I got at auction. Like I got the other ones at auction. Not a bad price. And yeah, this is just more of this jazz that I find is adventurous, but within sort of like a certain mold that for people who don't want to hear free jazz or less interested in skronkiness can get behind. Yeah, very sweet, very smooth. Not smooth, but it just hits a good, solid, sweet spot for me in terms of forward-thinking music, grounded. You know, good composition. So we're gonna listen to this, and this is a new one for me. I probably got this in May, I think. John Carter, alto and clarinet, Bradford on trumpet. Another jazz record. Probably a bunch of you have picked this up. The Abdul Wadud solo cello, first official reissue, a monster record. One that it took me a few times to warm up to, but Got a Groove in Ohio did this reissue. This is we bought a pretty nice collection at Angry Mom a couple of years back now, and this was in there. And this sold like the same day we put it up on Discogs for like it was a high sum. I think we were like wondering if it would sell, and it sold right away. So I wasn't in the market for that, obviously. But so Abdul Wadud, a cello. He turns up on he's a bit of an enigmatic character. Does turn up on a few records with Arthur Blythe, with Julius Hempel, Frank Lowe. He was on the Doggone AD record. Bobo Shaw, Charles Bobo Shaw, some of the AACM. But this is all just him, as it says. And if you kind of wondered if you could be entertained by this or sort of held your interest, absolutely you can. Now they had the original tape, and they were working with Wadud with this reissue, but he passed away. So he was behind this 100% and was actually working with Got a Groove on this. Turns out one of the tracks, I guess it says in the notes, the tape was damaged and they had to use a clean or a best original they could find to sort of fill in the gap, to sort of give it the full treatment. So it was going to be a direct cut from tape, but they ended up having to do DSD for some of it. So if that matters to you out there. Yeah, all Abdul Wadud by himself, and it's super interesting, aggressive at times, but laid back at times. It's cool to have your sort of interest held in this way. I know obviously there's lots of classical recordings where, where cello is the featured instrument and everything, but he goes into some pretty crazy lands and ropes you in. So yeah, sourced from original master tapes, but cut from DSD tape transfer. This is a groove-coated pressing. Nice sleeve on this too, and there is a image of an unseen image of Wadud with his kids. So I think this is still available. I don't know if it's sold out at distribution, but you should be able to get copies. Finish up with jazz. I got a bunch more. This next one is another one I got at auction. I really love this one. This one's far out and funky. Michael White's The Land of Spirit and Light on ABC Impulse. Great cover. Who we got? Who we got on this? Prince Lachey, piccolo, flute, alto. Michael White is violinist, of course. Cecil McBee is on here. Bob King playing classical guitar. Kenneth Nash. This one gets pretty out there, pretty funky and free. I really want to track down some of his other records. This one really blew me away. This is ABC Impulse. It's on these labels. Sort of quad compatible stereo quadraphonic. Awesome. Yeah, he who did he work with? I know he did. I think he worked with some rock acts. It was Santana or Clapton, maybe. It's like he had like a gig where he was working with some rock acts. Michael White. What a great cover. Yeah, this one sort of struck me as one that had a lot of movement and had a lot of a pulse, like Steve Carlson. I could see digging this, but also giving you that sort of weirdness that I like, or some free moments too. But very easily digestible, I'd say. Archie Shepp's Coral Rock. Been waiting for this one for a nice price. It came in an Angry Mom. Finally, it's been one I've been looking for. And this is one of the Archie Shepps I know I wanted to track down, and I finally did not too long ago. Archie, this is a hell of a... Everyone always says that, but it's true. Bob Reed bass, Bobby Few piano, Clifford Thornton valve trombone, Muhammad Ali drums, Al Shorter flugelhorn, Joseph Jarman trumpet, and some percussion, some other names I don't know, but yeah. Al Shorter, of course, short recording career. I'll link to Alex's video, Motoric 24/7. He did a little feature on Al Shorter and his sort of short discography, but he's on this one, and Alex showed this too. It's on the French America label. Lots to sink your teeth into on this one. The year, I would probably said it on the label. What do we got on this? I don't have the year. Yeah, you can find it. It's early 70s. But Archie Shepp, of course, did many French sessions, and BYG Actuel, and this being another one. Shepp was certainly very busy in the early 70s, so Coral Rock. Yeah, don't believe it was ever... It might have been reissued later as an American pressing, but it was originally a French pressing. This is a reissue of a highly collectible French record, originally on the Path label. Stunty and Michael talked about this one in their pre-order video, and I know Stunty's a fan and probably owning the original. I believe he does. This is a Le Très Jazz Club reissue. Very nice. They emulated the flip back cover. Anyway, it's Michel Potal, Our Meanings and Feelings, with sort of a who's who of French players, Jacques Delot, Aldo Romano, JF Jenny Clark, and Joachim Kuhn. This is a free one. This one's a little aggressive and free, but some nice moments of sort of pastoral improvisation. Michel Portal is certainly a beast. I've certainly come to know that. Yeah, an official. I believe it's official. Okay. Excellent. I love this jazz record. This one I picked up locally here at the shop. SOS, their only record, 3 English jazz reedmen. This is their group, basically, SOS. Label. I love this label. This is super fun. I love this. Like, no percussion, it's really just the 3 of them creating melodies and harmonies and skronkiness, but this one really blew me away, actually, from 1975. I like that this says Best Jazz Record of 1975 by the Times. I'm assuming that's the London Times, right? Somewhere in Scotland, November 74. There's like a little... Was it recorded live? Anyway, there's a little like self-interview. SOS was formed in April 73. First performance in Brussels. They played a month of tour in Italy. They recorded for the BBC. Just talks about their gigging and to play this loud. I really love this one. I'm going to play it again today. It totally knocked my socks off. Barry sax, John Sermon, he's a master. He's playing all the Barry, soprano, bass clarinet, and synths. There's synths on this. Mike Osborne, alto sax, percussion. So there's a little percussion, I guess. I don't remember it in that way. There's no kits. And Alan Skidmore, tenor, drums, percussion. I guess there was. Maybe I'm lying. But just their interplay is great. This is great. Alright, moving on from jazz. Another Angry Mom find back in October, November. This is old. Mohammed Abdel Wahab, oud player. This is an Egyptian pressing sultafan. It's vocals and oud, solo oud, super dark and beautiful. This is spectacular. Shout out to Fred Big Star 1000 who did a focus on the oud and sort of Eastern meets West music. 2 great videos. I'll link to those if I remember. This was so good though. It's sort of short. It's like two long pieces, but man, it was good. I really hope some of you can track this down. His voice is great. It's maybe a little like a basho, but not doing that. But it's just oud and vocal. So yeah, there's the Sandy Bull connection, I suppose. But I just loved. I love the mood and ambiance of this. I'll see if I can find a clip for this one. African music, bit generic. I got this in Pittsburgh at Fungus Books. I wasn't expecting to like it that much. I thought it would be sort of entry level. But this is spectacular. Laura Bolton archived and recorded these, right? And it's from, yeah, Laura Bolton, who was similar to Harry Smith, an ethnomusicologist, and she traveled and captured all these performances. No artists like typical of the Folkways records, but no, it does give. Okay, Malinki tribe, Malinki French Sudan tribe, Bambara French. So yeah, Western African stuff. And you have vocals and xylophones, vocal kora, harp and drums. This was awesome. Laura Bolton, not a huge career of recording, but definitely a pretty good amount. She did ethnic folkways titles too. So then there's some Cameroonian stuff on the other side, Nigerian, all sort of you know, local field recordings and folk music. So I was super, you know, this wasn't very expensive, $15 or $20, and it's in nice shape. I think the booklet's in here, as you know, yeah. Fungus Books was the store. That's a bookstore and has records by Mind Cure. That's the booklet. So that's it. I wanted to run through a good gamut of stuff, sort of representative of the 60 records I was going to show. These are the ones I was sort of most sort of ready to talk about. And still a little more listening to do with these, so hopefully I'll do more. But yeah, I wanted to get this out before my trip, and I'll see you back when I'm back from Maine, maybe with some records. I'm sure I'll find some records. And it's hot here, scorcher. And that's about it. I'm going to leave it there. Hope you enjoyed all the clips. I'll be talking with you soon. Take care, VC.